Hey there, welcome to ATL and 29, a podcast that looks at the NBA from the starting point of Atlanta. My name is Kevin Chenard. I'm here with Glenn Willis and Tyler Jones, and we're recording after a big trade. The Nets made a move, went out and got their 11th primary ball handler, and it's Kobe Bufkin. What do you think of this deal? I feel like maybe we're a little bit split on like what the next step is, but Glenn, what do you think? We'll start with you.
Yeah, so for me, I mean, I guess you look at it and you're like, they couldn't have got a second round pick, or they could have got something back. But it sounds like, I mean, all I can do is kind of speculate on why did they trade him, right? And one reason could be they didn't want to pick up his fourth year option. They wanted to move him to a team where I hope he could play, but they have a million guards. So
Yeah.
it's like, is he going to play? I have a hard time figuring out if he's going to play or not up there. Um, but for me, I liked him as a draft prospect when the Hawks picked him. Last season was the season he really needed to play to show whether he was moving towards being a rotation player or not, and the injury basically eliminated any opportunity for that. And now coming into this season, the Hawks have built a really, really good roster. And so to me, it looks like the read is there weren't really guaranteed minutes for him. And sometimes organizations, when that's the case, will want to do right by a player and kind of move him somewhere maybe he can play and build more contract, build up some value for that next contract. But that's really just kind of all speculation on my part in that sense. But last year was the year that there would had he been healthy, I think they would have given him real minutes to see is he going to make it or not. That just didn't work out. And coming in the next season, they're probably too good to give him minutes in the roster that they're carrying into this season. So that's sort of my read, even though I'm filling in some blanks and some connecting some dots on my own and my way of doing it.
And to echo that point, to me, I think this really signals that the Hawks um, are are all in on this season, winning games. And like I just think the Hawks looked at Kobe and they're like, he's a good prospect, but we cannot afford for him to have a 5 game stretch to what he had last year when he played, where he was just, it was tough to watch him play on those second units without Trey Young. And the Hawks probably looked at him like, combined with, I'm assuming they have something that they're looking at, whether it's a trade or free agency, because they didn't have to do this now as well. Where their ultimate thing is like, we can find a better basketball player, like for this season. We're not too, and I think it's a combination of the Hawks aren't worried about Kobe Bufkin's future because like Dyson Daniels kind of took his spot within this Hawks organization. And the Hawks are like, we're going to sign Dyson to a long-term extension. How many minutes really are there for somebody like Kobe Bufkin when they functionally play the same position? Like they do similar things, they're in similar roles. We want to elevate Dyson Daniels and we don't want to crowd the room. We don't want to take minutes away from Dyson unnecessarily, trying to because Kobe, if Kobe was on the roster, he would have to play. Like Glenn has said multiple times during the offseason, like he would have to play to see what you have or what you don't have. And I just think this is just a signal of the Hawks being like, we want a more veteran player at that, 13, 14, 15 spot than what Kobe was. Is what my read is on it, personally.
Yeah, I think I agree with Tyler on most of the points, but to me, the fact that it's sort of taken some time in the dead of the off season indicates to me that maybe they kind of flushed out any alternatives. And I don't know that to me, it doesn't seem like another move is necessarily imminent. Like this could just be, hey, to go back to Ansi's favorite word, this is some optionality to give them just uh extra room under the first apron so that they don't have to worry about that at all. So I mean, I think this is just something where they now can set up their next move. It might be something that happens at the deadline. Like it could be something now, but it wouldn't shock me if this was just essentially, the optionality is good, but essentially just like a favor to an agent. Just here's a young player. He needs minutes if he's going to become something in this league, and you just don't have minutes to give him. And so they were fair and square with him and just said, yeah, we'll get you. Let's explore the options, see what's out there, see if we can get anything for you. But then ultimately, if this is what you get is just a little bit of cash, I think is what they got, then that's what you get. And you get the roster spot, you get the savings on your sheet, and now you're ready for whatever the next move is, and it can be a more veteran player, somebody who's maybe more ready to contribute right now than Kobe is. Because they
Kevin,
really
I think
duplicated his position, right? Isn't that fair to say?
yeah, but I think the roster spot is just as important. Like
Sure.
why they didn't take back a player, because I'm pretty sure there probably were offers to take back a player of similar quality on the same contract
Yeah.
who might have even made less money. But to me, I think the Hawks wanted to open up a roster spot. They've not committed. They didn't commit to Caleb Houston. They didn't commit to Indali Fonte, Charles Bassey. They haven't committed to any of these guys with real contracts. They wanted to still have the option to see, all right, what position, because multiple times, like I just want to pull back, like the last couple of seasons, they've had heavy injury, like negative injury luck to start every year, and they're up to like they have no roster spots to get anybody, and so like they're just stuck with all these guys who are hurt now. Granted, like all the quote unquote, like to me, there's still quality basketball players available. They may not be proven veterans, but they could be another Indali Fonte, who's just who the Hawks have interest in. Honestly, this could be something where they just transition to upgrading one of the two-way guys to a full roster spot as well. Like there's like there's just like to me, I just think that the Hawks were like, we don't have Kobe Bufkin in our future. We don't rate him anymore as a first round prospect for us anymore, just because, like you said, Kevin, we duplicated their skills with, especially with Nickeil Alexander Walker. Just flat out, just they literally just do the same for what the Hawks wanted from Kobe. Nickeil is just a better basketball player right now, and so like I just think the Hawks are like, there's no room for this kid. We still like him. I, Granted, I don't think the Nets are a good spot for him. There's no guarantee he's going to make the roster. So that's he's going to have to. Kobe's going to have to fight to stay in the NBA. That's really what's unfortunate for him to me. But I mean, it's just the nature of it's the nature of this league. Like it's not fair. I don't think Kobe got a fair shake, but when timelines stop matching up, Mo Gay was Muhammad Gay, just to bring it back, like to start the year, Mo Gay was not in the Hawks' plans. I felt like they put him in the G League, and I think they were relatively disappointed in his play until something clicked with him, particularly on defense, and then they brought him back and he showed to be a proven a good rotation player for this team. So I just think the inability of Kobe to be healthy to prove to the Hawks that he's worth holding on to as a developmental spot is just, it's unfortunate for him. But when the Hawks, at the same time as Kobe's going through all the injury issues, Vit Krejci's, you know, he's gotten better. He's shown to be a capable rotation player. We go get Nickeil Alexander Walker. We go sign Luke Kennard. I think the Hawks are like, we're not going to be, and like to me, I'm just overall like, hey, if we need another guard, like if it's clear during the season we need a guard, we have the roster spots, we're safe under the tax because we're not going to pay the tax for this year. Like we're good to go to acquire. I just ultimately think like the Hawks felt like they could find a better basketball player for less money than what Kobe Buffett is making. Like I just think I think it's a pretty like I think it's more like a talent evaluation thing than anything else with Kobe, which is unfortunate. I think Kobe can be a good player in this league, but I don't know if he's going to be good next year. Or this upcoming season, which is a problem for him, and that's why he's not on the team anymore.
Yeah, I mean, the timing matters too. If you waited until 5 weeks from now when teams are cutting their rosters down, right? And you cut him at that time, he's scrambling to land somewhere around, right? Right. He has time now to go get into camp with Brooklyn, you know, figure out their system, all that sort of stuff, see where he is in the pecking order, all that sort of stuff. And so I think the timing was kind of to some charitability, on the part of the Hawks too, to not take him all the way to the 48 hours before the season starts, to, cut the roster when rosters start getting cut down. I think that matters as well. But then the other thing that happens is there are teams that may need to move a veteran as they cut their rosters down, right? 5 weeks from now, that might happen, and this gives them time to look at, like, okay, who's carrying 16 bodies on their roster right now, or 17 bodies on their roster right now, and who can we afford within under the first apron? And now they have 5 weeks to start planning, like, okay, who would our targets be if this player becomes available, who fits us, who fits what we do, and this lets them get out in front of that with some planning as well. So I think it helps Kobe not be lost in the sea of transactions that happen when everybody's cutting their rosters down. But also gives space for the Hawks to have actual strategic planning heading towards that date to be ready to acquire someone that they think could help them if there's a player like that available.
And there's no complicating emotional factors or factors of, trying to hold on to a player too long because you're trying to make sure that he succeeds so that it looks good on your track record. Like, they hired Onsi in May 2024. So, like, they drafted AJ Griffin in 2022. They drafted Bufkin in 2023. These were picks that were made before Onsi got there. And so there's no, well, I really want to make this, turn out good. There's none of that. Like, it's you're just evaluating in clear black and white here. What's best for the roster. There's no complicating emotional ties here.
Yeah, and the best organizations don't care about optics. Where, like, I don't my
Sure.
track. I mean, everybody has a mixed track record. Like, some draft picks work out, some draft picks don't work out, right? The best ones recognize, like, okay, we gave this a couple years and looks like it's not really going to fit, and let's give him a place to, hopefully a place where he can go have an opportunity that we can't give him. That's a mature approach to running your organization. It's not worry about how it looks, right? Build the best roster you can build, make the right decision to move the best roster forward for the next season. And that, I love that seems to be the actual priority now, as opposed to got to pay the guy we drafted, have to overpay the guy we drafted, maybe some would say, right? And though that trend that we saw kind of for a while as well, this is about business. This is about building the best roster that they can, and I think that should be encouraging for Hawks fans.
And I just want to add as well, like, I know the Hawks signed Nikola Jurisic to a NBA contract this season, but like there's no guarantee if he's not one of the best players on, like, one of the 13 to 15 best guys on the roster, like there's no guarantee he's going to go into the season in a Hawks uniform. And especially with the Hawks cutting salary, like now, because the primary reason to sign him to that contract is to secure a roster spot under the tax line, like, because you can pay second round picks less. Now that they just shedded all of Kobe's money, like, there's no, like, to me, I'm like, Jurisic, if he's not in shape, man, because like summer league just wasn't good enough physically for what the Hawks need him to be as an NBA player, like he will be one of the first guys cut. Like, I do want to prepare Hawks fans. Like, I don't think Ansi cares that he just, like, Ansi's like, we signed you to the contract because you did us a solid last year by sticking with the G League team, but like, this is a business, man, and we're trying to win a championship. Like, I'm like, this team is trying to comport themselves and get to being in contender status, and they're like, if we don't deem you somebody who can help us win some games if there's injuries, I don't know if Nikola is going to be on this team this upcoming season. Just based on, because again, like Kobe was a top 15 pick in the NBA, and the Hawks just were just like, we'll take the cash considerations. And like Kobe didn't do anything wrong to me. Like there's very little Kobe could have done, outside of not getting hurt, just to like solidify, he literally, to me, I don't feel like he got a chance. And when he played, especially his rookie year, he was pretty solid. But the Hawks are like, I mean, it's a cold work. It's a cold game, man. Like it also speaks to how there's not enough NBA teams in general. Like for the amount of good NBA players, we kind of saw it in Eurobasket. There are a lot of like NBA caliber players who are playing in that Eurobasket tournament who aren't going to be sniff an NBA roster. And it's just it's a tough league to stick in. It's a tough league to solidify yourself in the rotation. And it's really unfortunate that Kobe, particularly when the Hawks were hurt a couple times during his first 2 years here in Atlanta, and he was also hurt as well. Like that, it's brutal luck for him that he wasn't able to showcase what he could do in a Hawks uniform. So that's where I'm like, man, it's not good news that Ansi did this, but I do appreciate that Ansi's willing to cut bait, even and go with bad optics in order to build the best team possible. Because that's the Hawks need to try to win games. Like they gotta push for home court advantage and all that good stuff.
I do
Yeah,
think that with
just
Jurisic, because his contract is so low, that I don't think there's like any particular rush. I think in a way it's kind of analogous to what they not fully analogous because I don't think he's that same caliber of player, but I think it's kind of analogous to the way they used Mo Gay last year. Like he was just a roster player, and they said, "Hey, just go figure it out in the G League and get healthy, and you're just going to be down there. We don't need you. Go figure it out." I think because his contract, it's one of those low second round contract deals. Like I don't think unless there is a pressing deal on the table that they have to make a move to make it work, I think they are going to give Nikola some time to just kind of figure it out in College Park, first of all, and then, you know, maybe at some point with the Hawks, but the Hawks should be deep enough that they don't need him.
yeah, and I mean to kind of piggyback on what you guys are saying, like this is the season where the Hawks could not have tolerated like Kobe had needing a learning curve. Like if he
Yeah.
wasn't going to be a contributor from game one of the season, that was not ever going to work for them. They have serious objectives this coming season, and that's why I say last year was the season. Like I wish he could have stayed healthy and got some reps, and you get a read yes or no. It looks like he's on a trajectory that's going to work, or no, looks like there's more development time needed. And he gets to go to a team now. Again, none of us have any idea if he's going to play on that team because they have so many guards. They're investing in their draft picks as well, right? I forget how many like 17 guards they drafted. It felt like, or or whatever in the draft. But he's going to a place where there's no expectations, there's no pressure, in that sense, and that could be good for him. And yeah, I love his makeup. I love the person that you kind of see that he is when you get a chance to talk to him and things like that. But he needs to be in a place where the expectations are not high, and there's an opportunity for him to compete. He's going to have to compete for playing time, presumably there in Brooklyn, and I'll be rooting for him. But I think the Hawks did the right thing, just by being honest with themselves and being honest with him and his representation that there are going to be minutes here for you that are going to be meaningful for you to help you take the next step in your career. So let's help you find a place where that might be possible.
With all of this in mind, like what do you expect, Tyler, from the non-Trey minutes? Like what do the Hawks do for offensive creation when Trey's not in the game with the way that this roster is put together now? That's kind of a
Well,
big question, but
yeah, it would be interesting if they're willing to stagger Porzingis minutes with Trey and Porzingis, but the reason why they might not do that is just because I don't know if Porzingis is going to play enough minutes for that to be a truly effective strategy. So if that's not going to happen either, it's I could totally see them put Dyson Daniels on the floor with a bunch of shooting and tell him to go to work. At least that's where it looks like right now. Um, that's where I'm like, they hopefully they got somebody in mind who could do a little bit of something, you know, coming off the bench. But I mean, right now, I'm assuming the plan is like Luke Kennard, Dyson Daniels, Nikhil Alexander Walker trifecta all on the floor, make it work. Two of these three guys making it work while Trey's on the bench. Um, but it's going to be a struggle. We saw it last year. They tried it with Jalen last year, and Jalen was really struggling to solidify himself offensively, and particularly in the half court. And so the Hawks kind of punted on that idea, and he started playing the best basketball of his career once they just fully committed with him and Trey playing together. Porzingis has enough, like Porzingis is good enough offensive where you could absolutely just build the offense around him as the secondary guy, watch Trey's on the bench. It just goes to my point though, like how many minutes, if he's only going to play like 27, 28 minutes a night, do you really want to stagger him and Trey and not like get the boon of Trey playing next to Porzingis for 100% of the time? Um, so like it's going to be interesting. It's probably going to be more system based where they it's a team oriented approach, and they're hoping for improvements from Dyson Daniels in particular because I do think he showed a little bit of something on ball last year when they gave him the opportunity. So maybe in a more if he has more shooting around him, he can improve as a physical downhill driver because that's like if Dyson Daniels comes in and he's hitting his free throws and he's more confident, so then he's more willing to take on contact and get to the free throw line. Like we're talking about a different caliber basketball player. We're talking about somebody who could win most improved player of the year award for 2 years in a row if he becomes that. But he's got to show the free throw. He's got to just show the touch improvement in general, particularly from the free throw line, because he can't like if he's going to be the guy pretty much quote unquote backing up Trey, he can't be a sub 60% free throw shooter. Like that's just not going to work for the many minutes that Trey's going to be off the bench. So like I mean, this is the hole in the roster, unfortunately, and I think it's going to be by committee. And if these guys don't work, I do think they're going to explore trade options. Like they're going to look at who's available even before the deadline. You know, they'll punt on this idea quickly because again, I think this move suggests to me like they're trying to win games now, right now. So like if their plan going into the season doesn't work, I could totally see them punting and looking for that Lou Williams option. Unfortunately Lou Williams is retired, but like just that type of basketball player to come off the exclusively play when Trey's off the bench, going on the bench to give them some type of shot creation.
I do think Hawks fans might be surprised at how competent Kennard is at just running your offense. I think that's there. I mean, Dyson can get to the rim. He can get to spin that spin move he has, stuff like that. And last year when he was on the floor with Niang, he had space to attack. Like when he was on the floor and there wasn't another shooter out there, the opposing defense just collapsed five bodies in the paint, and it was harder for him to get to those two or three things that he does really really well. And in that sense, I think Quinn has a hard decision because Porzingis would make life easier for Dyson when Trey's off the floor a ton because he would create a ton of space for Dyson and others to attack. But the key thing there is that Trey plus Porzingis is that's enticing to kind of get those guys minutes matched up. So it's going to be interesting to see how Quinn manages the rotation in that sense, and if he feels like, okay, if I might have Dyson, Kennard, and I mean, Nikhil Alexander Walker is a good shooter. He's a good catch and shoot guy, really competent that way. And Kennard's one of the best 10 shooters in the league. For me, and it's Quinn thinking that's enough, to have on the floor with him. Or does Jalen need to be on the lineup with him, kind of wreaking havoc on the offensive glass or whatever, running things through him, stuff. So it's gonna be fascinating to see. But last year was like they could get 1.5 shooters on there with Dyson was Trey is off. You know, man shot way over his baseline, his career baseline last year with the Hawks. We know that. But when he was on with Yang, he can make it work. And so for me, it's like, is Porzingis kind of in that man role or that Niang role that he had last year, creating that space or not? He has even more depth than Niang does. Niang shot right at the 3-point line. Porzingis can get you 5 to 6 feet behind the 3-point line. He's still knocking those things down. So it's going to be interesting to see which way that goes. But at least they have like a handful of legitimate shooters this year that they did not have last year, outside of a couple guys. And that even and it's interesting to see if Dyson has added to his offensive game, if he could do more than attack the rim, get to the spin move, get to the floater, all those sorts of things, which he did, which those three things he did well last year. But to me, he needs a fourth thing, a fifth thing, a sixth thing to keep kind of being trustworthy, to kind of be a central figure, kind of run the offense, or you have to play off of Kennard. It'll be interesting to see how they approach that.
Backtracking a little bit, but we got a question on Twitter, and Suresh wants to know, if the Kobe Bufkin move is any kind of precursor to them trying to get Al Horford.
It could be. I mean, I'm speculating on it. I'm not sure though. But you know, seeing how this Warriors and Kaminga stuff is playing out, Al Horford was supposed to sign with the Warriors a long time ago, and he still hasn't signed. So to me, I'm like, this does give them the option to give Horford more money, but we'll see. It could be that, but that's just me having fun on Twitter. But um, it could be something else. It could be like some guy we don't know about who's available in trade that they swoop in, and with this move they made with Kobe keeps them under the attack. So that's why I'm like, we kind of don't know. I was just, I'm throwing darts at the wall. We like, hey, why would they do this now? Because this, at the same time, this is a weird time, even though it does give Kobe an opportunity. This is still a weird time to make this decision now instead of like earlier in free agency where you had more options and maybe you could have signed somebody. But we'll see is what I'll say. We'll see on the Al Horford front.
Yeah, and you go back to when Al left and Dwight showed up, and what that did to the fan base. It's a weird moment for the franchise to me. We don't have to relitigate all that sort of stuff, but that people may forget. Like even before that, Al at times talked about playing elsewhere. Only when he was asked about it by someone in the media. He wasn't. He didn't trash Atlanta or anything like that. I think his dad probably had harsher comments sometimes that kind of played back, through channels and things like that. But it wasn't like, Al never talked about the possibility of playing somewhere else. So that was a real thing too. I didn't. I mean, Dwight's a Hall of Famer now, and he had some great peak years earlier in his career. I didn't think that was the right move for the team for where they were at the time. So it just depends. Like, has Al kind of gotten over that? Tony steering them, Tony and Wes Wilcox and Bud steering towards Dwight, at the time or not, and does he even want to, kind of envision, kind of being back in Atlanta? I mean, possible for me to even have a guess at what does he want to do, you know. Um, but the Kaminga situation is probably creating a little stress and anxiety for those guys that have been waiting for months to kind of have that worked out. And I don't know if Kaminga's just going to take a qualifying offer and be a free agent at the end of next season, or it's hard to know what's going to happen over there. And Mark Stein and Jake Fisher keep kind of writing about it and stuff. If you've part of subscribe to kind of their work. It'd be fun to have him back. There's just no way for us to know like if that's something that seems enticing to Al Horford or not. No idea.
Yeah, because that's the thing. Like Al Horford would be signing himself up to be the third center, and like the third center on a team that if Porzingis and Onyeka Okongwu are healthy, how much is Al Horford actually playing? That's a question he'd have to ask. Uh, the coaching staff and like the Hawks would be like, well, we got Jalen and Onyeka. and Porzingis. Those are three guys that got to play a lot of minutes.
Yep.
Where am I going to play? This is not like the Celtics, where the Celtics they could mix and match their front court rotation just because of the caliber of basketball players of their front court, like outside of Porzingis. A bunch of like good players, but like not solid. Like Onyeka Okongwu is if he's backing up at center, like he's going to be playing starter plus minutes, whether he's backing up or not. Like considering how well he played last year, like he's just a better basketball player than how Horford is. And so like Horford's like, I'm signing myself up to get DNP on a lot of nights, whereas I go to the Warriors, I'm penciled in as a starting center. So like that, I think that's we can't ignore the context of Horford. I would love Horford to be on the team as insurance, but would Horford love to be on a team for insurance that's a Hawks team that isn't proven, even though we all think they're going to be really good, and that's a tough pill to swallow for somebody like Al, who's been a consistent starter, the entirety of his career. So I don't know if he's at that stage of like, I want to do, because like to me, I'm just like, where's if I'm being objective, taking my Al Horford fandom out of it, where is the role for him to play on this Hawks team? Like there's Mo Gay. Like Mo's gonna play, man. Like he's too good defensively. Like I'm sorry, and so he's gonna play. And it's like, all right, Al, you're break class in case of emergency, but teams can't really build the rosters with injuries in mind. Like it's because players have to, unless you're drafting those players, guys aren't going to come in free agency and be like, hey, well, he's going to miss 30 games, 40 games this year. I know that. Like they don't know that. Like they can't risk not playing and like then becoming career elite minimum going forward. Like it's too big of a risk for free agents to do.
Yep.
I wonder how Al feels about that season that he played in Oklahoma City. And, the end of the season, I think they basically just told him, hey, just
Go home.
go take some time off. Like, I wonder if he would feel something analogous, like, because I feel like, he got to save himself up. And, with the restful nature of that particular season, he kind of came back strong with Boston and had one of his best seasons ever. The first year of his second go around with Boston, like he was really on it. And I wonder if he feels like, DNPCDs in the regular season aren't that big of a deal to just be ready for the playoffs or something at age 38 now. That maybe that's an amenable role. I don't know. It's interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, but Kevin, it's one thing to be DNPCD'd for like once every 3 to 4 games or whatever. I'm talking like, again, if Porzingis and Onyeka are healthy,
but you could do the arithmetic. Yeah, but you could he also do the arithmetic and say, Jalen usually plays this many, Porzingis usually plays this many, Onyeka. I mean, they're not 80 game a season
Kevin,
players.
nobody.
Okay.
These guys do not.
They're all going to play 82. I get it.
But Kevin, you ask the players, like, do they expect to miss 15 games ever? Players want to play. Like they're not.
I know the players don't. Yeah.
Especially Porzingis, like Porzingis in particular, because like he's trying to make his money. He's trying to play every game
for sure.
He's not on I don't think he's going to be on the plan of I'll take the second night of back-to-back off, unless they sign him to a contract extension. Unless they sign him to a contract, if they don't, I don't think he's going to be so minimal to like, we're going to have you on this plan to keep you ready for the playoffs. I don't know if the Hawks have the sweat equity with Porzingis to do that the way the Celtics had, where they won a title and like they were consistent contenders. I don't know if the Hawks are on that level with Porzingis to suggest that. Like to me, I think Porzingis is going to be like, I'm trying to get as much money as possible. So I'm trying to play as many games as possible, as many minutes.
I guess. I mean,
look, Eurobasket, he was playing like 35 minutes.
Yeah, no doubt there. But it's a long regular
35,
season.
35
That's different.
On back-to-backs. Kevin, he was playing 35 minutes on back to backs. I'm like, hey, and like he was taking some hard
Weeks.
falls. He's playing super physical. Oh,
For 2 weeks playing in his home country at home. Like that's just a different thing. I don't think to me, I would not be shocked if like he's cool with playing 67 games because if he plays 82 and he's dragging on the second night of the back to back and his per game averages go south because he is playing 82, that could be more detrimental to his contract
yeah,
situation than
but
just sitting out his
again,
usual 15.
Kevin, but the original point is like Horford's gonna like 70 games is still a lot of games. For Horford to play as much as he would want to play, like Okongwu, Porzingis would have to miss significant. We're talking like 30 plus games in the season. That's what I'm talking about. Like I'm not saying he's gonna play all 82, but like, yeah, play 12 games. I don't know if Horford's gonna be signed thrilled to be in that spot. Not, but I would love to have him. Again, I'd love to have a perfect insurance policy Al Horford. I'm looking at it from Al Horford's perspective. Be like, if I'm, where's my guaranteed 15, 20 minutes? If I don't have that, I can get that with the Warriors. I just think that's where he
Yeah,
is.
agreed. Yeah, I think it's unlikely.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think it's unlikely
Or,
too. I wouldn't rule it out.
yeah.
All right. Well, I kept you so busy that we never even got to talk about the Clippers. So
Tease that for
pay
the
me
next
for
one.
staying out of trouble tonight.
Yeah. Tease that for the next one.
Good night, Bob.
Good
Yeah,
night,
Bob.
Bob.